I'm so excited that we get to sit down and talk about what, we've worked on together and like what you've been doing the last few years, which is really helpful to so many people. It's hypnosis therapy. And I think a lot of people, they hear hypnosis therapy and they're not really sure what it is. It sounds a little woo-woo. Yeah. It sounds a little scary. So how about you explain, like back up, like how did you get into this? And like, can you help us understand what hypnosis therapy is?
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to be here. Okay, so I actually used to work in tech. I used to work in a more corporate environment, but I had my own journey with really, really bad social anxiety. Years ago, I did a lot of like CBT, kind of talk therapy around that, which did help a certain extent. But fast forward to, COVID hits, got very, very just like burnt out, and honestly was just like unfulfilled in the work that I was doing. And sort of got into spirituality at that point and came across a podcast, actually, which I loved, called High Vibe in It. And one of the women was a hypnotherapist. And so I kind of just started thinking about hypnotherapy and hearing about just kind of like, it made so much sense to me. The fact that like your thoughts really impact like your emotions and your experience and all that stuff. I was realizing that I wanted to make a big career change and do something more fulfilling for me. And, so I kind of literally researched where that podcaster had gone to school for hypnosis and decided to just start the program without even like really knowing too much about it. And then once I started it, I just like absolutely fell in love. And then at that point, I worked with a few hypnotherapists on my own to really get rid of the social anxiety and kind of address it at the root. Because the CBT, it's super helpful. I don't know if you've ever done CBT yourself, but it is helpful, but it's very conscious, like effort work. Whereas the hypnosis allows you to kind of like address it at the root. So that's kind of how I got into it. Also just share a little bit more about what it is.
Yeah, well, that's like so interesting that you hadn't even experienced it.
Yeah.
And you jumped in to like be trained in it.
Yes.
And what was it about what she was saying that really resonated with you? Because you'd gone through therapy, you had experienced like some shifts, but like what was it that she was saying that really resonated?
The way she shared about how people just experience change automatically. Like it was just, all of a sudden they started feeling differently and attracting different things. And the cool thing with the program that I studied at was you could do the first month without paying tuition. You could try it essentially before investing.
Okay.
So then I was like, I'm just going to try it. And then I did. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fascinating. Because then you learn more about the science behind it, the theory behind it, and just like all of the different applications it has. And then I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. So,
yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Explain, like, what is a session like? What could people expect?
Sure. So at the beginning of a session, it's, we'll be chatting about sort of what the issues are that you want to address. So it's always thinking about what are the thoughts, feelings, or behaviors that are not working for you anymore and what you would like to change. And then what you would like to be experiencing instead. So that's kind of the beginning of the session, is just consciously discussing what's going on for you and what your real goal is. And then the last 35 to 40 minutes of the session, at least the way that I do it, will then get into hypnosis. And really what hypnosis is just your body being physically relaxed while your mind is still awake. So the client is sitting there, eyes closed, listening to my voice. I guide them into that calm, relaxed state. And at that point, you become just more suggestible. So your subconscious becomes open. And so then, as you know, like I'll use a lot of guided imagery to kind of talk to the subconscious in a way that it bypasses your conscious mind. I'll give a lot of more direct hypnotic suggestions where I'm literally telling your mind, okay, you're going to start to feel way calmer in XYZ situation. You're going to start to feel way more confident every single time you walk into a new room, whatever it is that the person wants. And then also visualization. So I'll have you like in that state, that suggestible state, like really imagine that, like imagine yourself, walking into a room full of people, feeling totally comfortable, engaging with anyone, approaching people, whatever it is that, again, that person wants. So that's about 35 to 40 minutes that we spend in that sort of deeper trance-like state. And then I bring them out and I'll share a recording of the session as well. That's one of those things I do find the clients that actually listen to the audios do get much better results. It's not necessary, but you would probably need more sessions if you don't kind of reinforce it.
Yeah. So I've done several sessions with you and I found them to be like game changing. So but I think it's interesting. So I think one thing that like you asked me that maybe you didn't mention is like, you asked me like different thoughts that I had, like where I thought they might be coming from. And like questions about like, did something happen to me when I was like a child or like, And
Yes.
and I think that that's getting into the science of like how our subconscious is built. Right?
Totally, yes. So I often will ask about someone's upbringing because that has a huge impact on what they're then experiencing. So from age 0 to age 8, you're literally in a constant state of hypnosis. You don't have a conscious mind really at that point. So you're living in theta brainwaves, which means you're just literally absorbing whatever happens around you. So, if someone grew up in an unstable environment in any capacity, their system, their subconscious gets programmed for like that fight flight experience. So then that person coming to me, at age 30, age 40 is like, I'm just such an anxious person, and it's typically coming from that. Or if, you were made to feel like your needs didn't matter as a kid, could be because there was like abuse of some sort, or it could just be that like, there was alcoholism or substance abuse, or even just absent parents, right? Like that stuff tends to then cause this idea within your subconscious of like, I have no value, I'm not worthy. I'm only worthy if I'm like helping someone or things like that. So getting a sense of someone's upbringing is super, super helpful because that's really where most of your subconscious gets formed. It can change throughout your life if you have like a traumatic experience or something like that. You might have had a perfectly fine upbringing, but then some trauma happens to you and it shifts your subconscious in that moment. But generally speaking, understanding like how someone was raised, and even in terms of relationship patterns, right? Like what your parents' relationship was like is going to have a huge imprint in your subconscious, again, as like a kind of known, familiar situation. And so that can also affect people as adults.
Yeah, so it seems like when you're asking those questions about what happened to you, because of your experience, you're able to hone in with what the statement is that's probably unhelpful, that needs to be removed, right? And so you probably come up with a statement that is the inverse of it, which is like the helpful thing.
1000%. Yeah, exactly. So when I'm talking to a client, I'm asking all these questions. I'm jotting down really notes exactly to what they're saying because I do think the language, using someone's specific language is super helpful. And then within myself, either I'll be asking the client, well, what would you like to feel instead of that? Or sometimes people don't have the capacity to access that, like if they're so in it. So then I can just look at the statement and be like, okay, like I have no value if I'm not being super productive or something like that. Then I'm like, well, I'm just innately worthy. Like I am valuable just because I exist, right? So I can, exactly what you said. It's kind of like erasing the old and then implanting something new that's much more positive and helpful for that person.
The thing that I think is interesting when I've discussed this with some people is I think that there's some sort of belief in our society that some of these statements are giving us an edge. Like I find a lot of people, they want to cling to like perfectionism or control. And they think that if they let go of that they're going to lose their drive, like their ambition.
Yeah.
And that scares them.
Yeah.
What has been your experience with that? And like, do you encounter people that like that's something that you have to overcome with them? And
yeah, absolutely. I think it can show up as perfectionism. It can show up as anxiety. It's like anything that's created to create a sense of control. And I do believe that comes from self-worth. I think most of the issues people come to me, it's related to self-worth in some capacity. With the perfectionism, typically like either they were raised in an environment or it could be societal too, of just like, if I'm not perfect and people judge me, then that means I'm unworthy, right? There's like a real inherent fear of people being judged by other people. So then it's like, no, I have to put on this perfect facade. I have to do everything perfectly so that no one can ever judge me, criticize me, and therefore then I'm like good and loved and accepted. And so that's a huge thing I definitely address with a lot of people. And there's also like an anxiety component as well of like, well, if I'm having all these anxious thoughts and thinking about all the possible like negative outcomes that could happen, that gives me a sense of control because then I'm like prepared. So then sometimes people subconsciously don't want to get rid of the anxiety because their mind really thinks it's keeping them safe in a capacity because it gives them that sense of control and preparedness. So that's definitely a huge part of the work too, is just like getting their mind to understand, actually, if you're calm, you have way more control over everything. You have access to logic and reason and things like that, which when you're in an anxious state, you completely lose because you're in that sort of survival mode.
I think it's really interesting how I think that it takes a lot for somebody to reach a level where they're no longer concerned with judgment from other people. And it's really interesting because I feel like once you reach a place where you really like love yourself and you're comfortable with yourself, you don't care like what someone's opinion is of you, because you're like, okay, that's what you think. Like that doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Like I'm in my lane. I feel good about what I'm doing, and like why would that bother me? Like
Yes.
like if you're thinking something bad about me, like that's coming from a bad place. Like I'm not thinking anything bad about you. I'm wishing you well. So like I don't know.
It's got nothing to do with me. It's your own mind. It's your own projection. Your own interpretation of the world. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I've actually, because I feel like even with you, like we got you to such a good, confident place where you really don't care, right? Like is the sense that I get, you're like, no, like I'm going to be me. Like I love myself. But when I talk about that with even like some friends of mine, they're like, there's no way you can get to a place where you just don't care. And I'm like, no, you can though. Like your mind can be literally programmed to just get to a place where you understand that like someone is judging you. Like there's going to be people who love you and people who judge you always. And you're still the same person, right? Like, so it has nothing to do with you. It's just their own stuff. I think that's such a cool thing, especially for someone with like horrible social anxiety, like for so many years. And that's the wound, is like, oh my God, I'm going to be judged and everyone hates me, like that type of a thing. It's like, no, like what someone thinks of you literally has nothing to do with you. And you can get your mind to understand that.
Yeah. And it's like, I think that Mel Robbins talks about that in Let Them, where she says it's like, it's none of your business what people think about you.
Yes.
None of your business.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. I would love to hear, obviously you and I worked together for a bit. I would love to hear both just kind of what was your experience with hypnosis? What was most surprising to you? Just kind of, share a little bit about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, just like you're talking about, like you did a lot of like CBT, like I've been in therapy since I was 14 years old. Okay. I've probably seen 20 different therapists, and it was often like I would see some therapists for like years. Yeah. I've been on SSRIs, and I always thought that, like this dark cloud was just, I thought that there was something just like innately wrong with me, like from a chemical level. Okay. And this whole last like year and a half, I've gone down a rabbit hole, and I'm like, if I see something, like I hear about hypnosis therapy, I'm going to do it. I hear about EMDR, I'm going to do it. I hear about a retreat, I'm going to go. Like, and I've just been going, and it's just mind blowing to me, the shift that I've had. And it's like, I think that the way that it works when you heal is like, first you got to sort out what's going on, like lay it all out. What are my thoughts? Where are these coming from? And understand like that it's based on something that happened to you. Right? And then it's like, okay, you know all that stuff. And then you're probably, having a little bit of blame on like the people that were part of that situation. But the thing, and it's like, and I feel like a lot of people, they just kind of stay there, and a lot of us don't hear about the tools where we can move beyond that. And I believe that like hypnosis therapy is one of those tools where it's like, let's take action. Yes. Let's do something about it. Like when you're talking about getting to the root of it, because I really feel like you just removed some trash that was in my head. And it's so crazy because it's like, for me, I came to you because I was in a place where I was relatively like pretty happy. The thing is like, I would walk down the street and like, sometimes people are looking at me, and I know that they're looking at me because they're probably admiring my outfit, or maybe it's standing out. Like it doesn't have to be a good thing, but I couldn't walk down the street. Like sometimes I would just like want to like, just like, shrink myself and be like, oh, like it's just, and the other thing is like, I was in tech as well, like you were, and I was often the only woman in the room. And I think that many women, like when you've been in that situation, you feel the attention on you. And, sometimes you might have these thoughts where you feel like people are judging you and waiting for you to fit some sort of stereotype where you're not going to be able to speak English. and you're not going to really know what's going on, right? And so I think that back when I was in tech, I would feel it, and I'd be like, okay, ignore that. That's not yours, and just be who you are. But it was really interesting when I started working with you about the confidence thing, it just went away. It was like that noise of like me being worried about what people were thinking, or just that like I had their attention. Like I no longer cared. I'm like, okay, like you're like looking at me like that's cool. Like I'm looking at the tree. Like you know, like I'm enjoying my day. Like
Yes,
and
totally.
it's just like I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're thinking, and it honestly is none of my business.
Totally.
And like it was just so freeing. And the thing that I thought was like so incredible was it wasn't just like, oh no, I can walk down the street. Really funny things started happening. Like I'll give you an example. I did an event for this company that I had, and it was I have this travel app, and I went to the place where we were having the event, and the gentleman that owned the venue, he starts talking to me, and he's like, hey, like let's like talk about your app. And then he one of his like employees just started filming us. And like we had this 3D rendering of the app, and like he wanted to get that in, and like we didn't talk about this. This guy just starts filming. And then he's asking me about like, oh, like why would somebody use this? Like how does it work? And he wasn't asking me in a kind way. Like he was like, well, why would somebody use that? And he was just like his line of questioning was just like not positive, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And when he stopped and when he was done, you know, he's so proud of himself, and he's like,
Oh God.
okay, well, do you have social media? I'll tag you in it. And I was like, oh no, I don't want you to tag me in that. No. And he's like, oh no, like not you personally, like your company. I'm like, no, I understand. I was like, I didn't like the way that you were engaging with me. I was like, I don't want that associated with my brand. So like, please don't tag me in it. And he was just like,
what?
Like he didn't even know what to say. But I also
good.
But I also wasn't mad. I was like, oh no, thank you.
You're just like holding the boundary. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like later on he's talking to me, he's like, so like, are you just like doing marketing for this company? And I'm like, no, it's my app. And he's like, oh, okay, so like, what does that mean though? Like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I mean, it means that I came up with the idea, I designed it, I hired the engineers, I raised the capital, and like, I built it, I launched it, and I do the marketing. That's what that means.
Like, what it sounds like.
But before, and like, I wasn't even mad. And like, when I went to go leave, like he was leaving like before the event, and I was like, hey, like, thank you so much. Thank you for letting me use your venue. And like, I could tell that he was just very uncomfortable. Yeah. And I'm not. I'm like, I don't know, man. I was just answering your question.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Just unbothered.
Yeah. And like, so I had a lot of those experiences where that actually like really blew me away.
It's amazing.
The fact that you can communicate these things that like you might have thought before were like scary and it's gonna be confrontation, but like when you're not bothered by it, there's no confrontation.
Because there's no charge.
I think it's like a really beautiful thing to be able to like, if more people can be like that, think of all the things that we can find solutions to and discuss. Like, it's like politics in this country.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, Democrats versus Republican. A lot of it is like men versus women. And it's like, hey, but if we can just see each other as like humans that want love, that want to feel valued, that want happiness, and just like the simple things in life, and like we can just discuss like to find solutions. Like,
totally different world. Totally different world. I mean, like, being able to have people regulated in their nervous system, even like I used to get so triggered with political stuff.
Yeah.
And now I can actually like hold myself. Like, even if someone has a very different opinion, I can at least hear it rather than getting so triggered. Yeah. Because that's what it is. People are so emotional. And then like you respond out of emotion, you can't hear the other person. And I totally agree with you. I mean, I very much, and I think you agree with this too, of like, if you get every single person to heal their trauma, to get into a calm, regulated nervous system, and to just like love themselves, the world would be a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yes.
There would be none of this stuff.
Yeah. Because it's like, the thing about it is like, not only would you not be upset about things, but like, you'd be having the time of your life.
You'd just be so happy.
Yes.
And you want other people to be happy when you're happy.
We'd be having more fun. We'd be laughing.
Yes.
We would have
creating more
incredible relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. You were talking before about how you were doing traditional talk therapy, which can be a great thing, right? To like, your experience was like, what was your experience with that?
So I did CBT. It was like kind of combination CBT and talk therapy. And my experience was it is helpful, especially like at the beginning of your personal development journey, your healing journey. It's very helpful to be able to talk to someone, have things reflected back to you that you maybe didn't realize, understand what the patterns are, get an inkling of also like where those patterns came from. And then the CBT is super helpful in terms of like starting to, it's kind of you being very conscious of like your thoughts, the beliefs behind those thoughts, and then like you're kind of, when you go through a certain experience, like what was happening in your mind at that point, and then kind of consciously like trying to talk yourself into a different belief is sort of how I would describe the CBT. And it's also exposing yourself to like anxiety provoking situations. It did help me. Yeah. I would say like, you know, in terms of the social anxiety, it probably helped me about 50%. And I did it for a long time, 2.5 years. It definitely was like the first right step for me in terms of healing.
Because you wouldn't know what exactly to work on.
Exactly.
And like what you're working with.
Yes.
Until you did that, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. As you were saying before, it's like it helps you kind of like lay out all the different things that you need to address. But then at a certain point, you need something to take it deeper to actually create the shifts. And that is where the hypnotherapy is super, super helpful, because it can just like literally get into your subconscious. It doesn't require the exposure therapy. It doesn't require having to consciously like question your beliefs and all that stuff. That you're really addressing the change at the root, just in your mind in a very passive way. Yeah, it's a very different form of therapy. So what about for you? Like, how would you describe sort of the difference, and then like what was your experience during an actual like session for hypnotherapy?
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think that talk therapy is really helpful for you to build awareness of the thoughts that are in your head, what is not serving you, how they got there, like what happened to you. Yep. Great. I don't think that talk therapy can really do much more besides you learning like how to like experience your emotions and move through them. I think that at a certain point, it's like you have to let go of these beliefs. And I think that hypnosis therapy is something where you do like one session, listen to the recordings a couple times, and you're changed. You're really a different person. Like you're free of essentially these shackles, these thoughts that are like keeping you in this prison. And it just deletes it. It's just like, you know, we have a lot of people that understand like software, right? Yeah. It's like you're running a program.
Yes.
You got a bug in your system. Delete it.
Yep.
That's it. Like it's like we can figure out like what's not serving us. And I think the thing about it is like these thoughts that people have, I would assume that there's probably maybe not more than 20 thoughts that are negative that you come across again and again.
Yeah, it's probably true, actually.
That people have. Like
1,000%, actually.
It's not like, oh, these are so nuanced.
Yeah, no.
And there's thousands of them.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, like, I'm worthless. Like, I'm not
unlovable.
Yeah, I'm not beautiful. Yeah. Like, I've messed up too much in life. I'm broken.
Exactly.
It's like, this isn't like...
It's all the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, okay, like my experience of like when we actually did the hypnosis therapy is like, I would set up my laptop so you could see me. And I would just like lay down on my couch. I would get my little blanket. Would lay down and I just close my eyes. And I would just listen to your voice. And you would walk me through, you know, like a countdown of like, just like being more relaxed in my body. Just like if you've ever done like a meditation on Headspace or Insight Timer, it's just like somebody's leading you through a meditation, except with this, somebody's saying things that are very personalized to you. And with like suggestive things like, imagine that you're walking down the street and you feel so happy and free and like, you're happy for the other individuals that are walking by you, and you're having an amazing day, and it's magical, and it's like you're just describing to me the life that I want. And in that state, I'm able to like accept that as my reality and take it with me.
And the other thing I'll say too, that's like, you know, because some people do wonder what's the difference between like meditation versus hypnotherapy. And like, so, I mean, hypnosis audios basically are meditation, but it's sort of just like meditation with a specific goal. But a live session, what I also think is really different is like, I'm looking at you, gauging kind of how relaxed you are, what's depth of hypnosis you're in. And then, as you said, I'm obviously also customizing it specifically to you. I also very much believe there's an energetic component too. Because like people will, I don't know if you felt this in our sessions, but oftentimes people will go very deep during a live session and then they re-listen to the audio and they don't go as deep. And I believe that that's an energetic component too, of just like us being present together, and like my active energy and intention on you in that moment is also like facilitating a deeper state.
I think that somebody might listen to the statement that you just made and be like, oh wow, that sounds super woo-woo.
Yeah, fair.
But if you've ever been anywhere and you have like a really caring nurse, as like maybe you're coming out of like a surgery and they're just, you know, maybe they're holding your hand or like talking to you in a soft, soothing manner. Like it's the same thing. That person's putting the energy out like for healing.
Totally.
And like peace.
Totally. Yeah.
I've worked with people with like phobias to like overcome that. I experienced that like I was able to get more confidence and I feel like have better boundaries with people.
So I've done a lot of work around just anxiety, people who have really bad panic attacks and things like that. Both like people who've always had kind of generalized anxiety, or they had a specific incident that caused a panic attack, and then anything remotely similar to that incident was then triggering panic attacks. I've also worked a lot with depression is a big one. I often get clients, and like similar to you in that you did a lot of talk therapy, you tried some medications and stuff. I'll get people who have done all that stuff and they're like, I don't want this anymore. Like, I would like to try to address this in a different way. So have been able to help a lot of people just find like more joy in their life.
I think now you're starting to address a focus on people with their relationships, right? Because there can be like patterns that people are doing in their relationships that are holding them back from like finding the right person.
Yes.
Like feeling like they deserve that person and being in a place where they can love like fully, right?
The issue that I find most people have, no matter what of any of those issues that I just listed come to me for, is something around self-worth, self-love. And that then plays out in relationships. So as you said, like if I feel unworthy, then I'm gonna be. So your subconscious is very, very powerful. Okay, as I said, it takes in 2 million bits of information every given second. It knows how to like seek out things to reaffirm what it already believes. So if I have this belief, like I'm not worthy of like dating a wonderful guy, my subconscious somehow knows how to pick out the guys that are going to reinforce that belief for me, right? So that it's going to find guys that are not emotionally available, aren't going to treat me well. I'm shifting to focus more on now is just getting probably more so women to like really understand that they're innately worthy, innately valuable, so that they can like attract the right people. There's also a lot of just like negative beliefs around love and dating in general, especially for women in like our 30s and 40s, where it's like you have to settle if you want to have kids, like those types of ideas that I don't buy into and that I don't think are helpful for any woman to be like listening to. I think everyone deserves someone wonderful.
That really resonates with me. And I think it's really interesting because America, we're so focused on business, right? So I think that if you draw parallels to business, it's like, okay, let's look at Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. These kind of people, they don't operate from a place of limiting beliefs, right? Like they think that truly anything is possible. And so if we can see how someone can be successful in business by not having limited beliefs, imagine how successful you could be if you didn't have limited beliefs around your worth.
Exactly.
And what kind of love you deserve.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, there is someone out there that can love me as deeply as I can love them.
Exactly.
There's somebody that has worked on themselves as much as I have.
Yeah.
And like wants to build a beautiful life. I know they're out there.
I very much do believe we are limitless in our potential, and we're really, as you were referring to it before, it's shackles. We have shackles in our minds that keep us in these little boxes of just small lives or whatever it might be. If we can like really break free from that and understand like, no, like I'm amazing, I deserve someone who's amazing and who I'm like absolutely crazy about, then you're gonna attract that in.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out the first episode of High Vibes NYC. If you want to work with Adriana, check her out at adrianacarlosimo.com. I'll put it in the comments. And come back for more. I'm posting my 14-day, always free, Become Your Best You program. And later this month, I'll be interviewing my therapist, Mark Heron, and we'll be demonstrating how EMDR works. Super amazing, sending good vibes.